That night in the hotel room, Skipper and I
don't want to hear about it.
Why won't you face the truth just once? About Skipper, about me, about yourself.
Hey, everybody.
In the conservative era of the Golden Age, some of its biggest stars were so wild your jaws would drop. From top-secret affairs to pedophilic love stories, here are the 10 biggest sex freaks in old Hollywood history.
I suppose there's a time when any man, even a man like me, can find something bigger than himself.
Number 10. Errol Flynn. Errol Leslie Flynn will always be one of the most recognizable faces from the golden age of Hollywood. The Australian actor achieved worldwide fame, not only for his acting, but for his looks and lifestyle as well. And when you have such an attractive lifestyle, it's almost impossible to keep your true womanizing and hedonistic activities a secret. Actress Marlene Dietrich was one of his lovers, and she reportedly gave him the nickname Satan's Angel. What could he possibly have done to earn that moniker? Let's take a step back to find out. Born in Tasmania on June 20th, 1909, Errol's mother constantly belittled him and beat him. Many believe this was a defining event in his life. It is likely that the early experience instilled in him a mistrust of women that drove him to control them throughout his life. Flynn grew up self-indulgent. He quickly learned that he could skate by on his charm and athletic ability. He was a tennis champion in his teens but just kept getting himself thrown out of school. Thankfully, he soon found his passion for acting. He had the talent and charisma needed to make it big in Hollywood, so he did. Getting involved with a lot of women was one of the many perks of the job. Well, womanizing might not sound so bad. The truth is, Flynn had a thing for minors. Errol Flynn's involvement with underage girls is just as disturbing as it sounds. However, it becomes increasingly unsettling as one delves deeper into the narrative. So despite his established Hollywood career and marital status at 48 years old, why else would he be engaged in these disturbing relationships? Reports suggest that Flynn was a complex figure who often got entangled in questionable activities. Specifically, his alleged involvement with 15-year-old Beverly Adland. When you really think about the nature of their connection, it raised serious concerns. This is not a valid excuse to date a 15-year-old, but the rumors suggest that Adland was actually in love with him. She had not been coerced in any way, and she seemed to enjoy all their global adventures together. Their relationship was even described as exciting and unconventional, but was there more to it? Rumor has it that when this unlikely pair initially crossed paths, Flynn was experiencing some career setbacks. He was entangled in child support disputes with ex-wives, shunned for his alcoholism, and faced numerous allegations of inappropriate behavior with underage girls. This has since been cause for speculation that his relationship with Adland was a somewhat disturbing tactic to enhance his fame. This controversial strategy garnered so much attention that it reignited media interest in Flynn. Could this have really been his intention all along? So yes, it is disturbing that Adland would later admit that her first sexual encounter with Flynn was not consensual. And yes, it is even more disturbing that she somehow still managed to fall in love with him. But we believe it's so much more disturbing that all of it could have just been born out of a publicity stunt.
Well. Tomorrow night's the big night, eh, Daisy?
Yes, the sister's getting married, and I'm thrilled to death.
Number 9. Daisy and Violet Hilton. Best known for their roles in the movies Freaks and Chained for Life, Daisy and Violet Hilton were conjoined twins who rose to fame during the 1920s and 30s vaudeville scene. The Hilton sisters were born in 1908 in Brighton, England, to Kate Skinner, an unmarried 21-year-old. The twins were joined back to back of their lower spines by flesh and bone, and they did not share any major organs. Well, except some areas of their circulatory systems. They were adopted into the family of Mary Hilton, the very midwife who helped them into the world, but it eventually became apparent that she had simply recognized the potential earning capacity of the conjoined sisters. Imagine selling postcards of the newborns at the pub she ran. Anyway, the twins were pretty lively and charming, and most importantly, they knew how to give the audience a show. Away from the stage, the twins also knew how to have fun. They allegedly enjoyed the high life, partied hard, and surprisingly took on numerous lovers. They also experienced marriage, divorce, and motherhood. Now, due to their conjoined nature, they had no physical privacy, but this was where the famous magician Harry Houdini came in. He was a famous magician who reportedly fell in love with one of the twins. As the story goes, he taught them how to mentally zone out during intense moments so they could have privacy when they wanted. As you can imagine, this was a skill that came in handy in the bedroom. Despite their early success, the Hilton twins faced many challenges. While they were often victims of their time, they soon faced the harsh realities of Hollywood as they grew older. Once they were no longer seen as valuable in show business, they were shunned by the industry. Their later years were marked by hardship as they fell into poverty.
That night in the hotel room, Skipper and I...
I don't want to hear about it.
Why won't you face the truth just once? About Skipper, about me, about yourself.
Hey, everybody.
Number 8, Elizabeth Taylor and Eddie Fisher. Elizabeth Taylor will always be one of Hollywood's biggest stars. She was an iconic actress who is now remembered for her incredible acting, but she wasn't only interesting on screen. Her off-screen dalliances and tumultuous relationships were also something to remember. We imagine she was just enchanting in real life as she was on set, so the men did line up after her. By the late 1950s, she was already in her third marriage to film producer Mike Todd. That was until his tragic death in a plane crash later in 1958. Now widowed, Taylor kicked off a scandalous affair with her friend Eddie Fisher. He was a popular singer and actor known for his crooning style, but he was also married to America's sweetheart Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher had been seen as the perfect couple, so the betrayal shocked many. The media convergence was relentless, and each one painted Taylor as a homewrecker and Fisher as undisciplined and selfish. Fisher divorced Debbie Reynolds in 1959 and married Elizabeth Taylor soon after. Elizabeth Taylor remained a major star through it all, but Eddie Fisher was not so lucky. His career suffered significantly, and he never regained his former level of success. The sad part, though, their marriage was short-lived. Taylor was still married to him when she met Richard Burton, a Welsh actor known for his intense performances and deep, resonant voice. Burton was married to Sybil Williams, but that did nothing to stop the blossoming affair. The fiery affair began on the set of Cleopatra in 1962. Taylor portrayed the titular role, but Burton was cast alongside her as Mark Antony. Their on-screen chemistry was palpable enough, but little did everyone know that it would spin into a real-life romance. The affair was highly publicized. Paparazzi and media outlets relentlessly followed their every move. Both Taylor and Burton divorced their respective spouses in 1964 and got married the same year. From the intense passion and frequent arguments to their lavish lifestyle and their extravagant spending on jewelry and luxury items, they were quite the couple. They notably divorced and got married 2 more times. Whatever it was, they both couldn't be without the other, and that was the case until Burton's death in 1984.
Now that's how I'm going to clear the table.
Number 7, Marlon Brando. Renowned for his roles in films like A Streetcar Named Desire, On the Waterfront, and The Godfather, Marlon Brando is a name present on every list of the most influential actors in the history of cinema. Marlon Brando's career began on stage before he became a major film star in the 1950s. Known for his intense method of acting and his roles as brooding, complex characters, Brando was a pioneering force in modern acting. His rugged good looks and magnetic screen presence also made him a sex symbol of his time. Brando was married 3 times and had numerous relationships with women. He even fathered at least 11 children in his lifetime. While these relationships helped maintain his heterosexual image, they did not entirely quell speculation about his sexuality. You see, there were always questions about his sexuality. In fact, there were numerous rumors that Brando had relationships with several men. One of the most notable rumors involved a relationship with actor James Dean. Additionally, Quincy Jones, in a 2018 interview, claimed that Brando had a sexual relationship with comedian Richard Pryor. This claim was later confirmed by Pryor's widow, Jennifer Lee. At some point, Brando himself made statements that hinted at his bisexuality. In a 1976 interview with French journalist Francois Chalet, Brando said, "Sexuality is so much in fashion, it no longer makes news. Like a large number of men, I too have had homosexual experiences, and I am not ashamed. I have never paid much attention to what people think about me." Wouldn't you say that this image of a rebellious and unconventional figure helped him navigate public curiosity? At the end of the day, his ability to achieve and sustain success while potentially managing a concealed aspect of his identity speaks to his resilience and dedication.
You drop this?
Thanks.
Number 6, Lana Turner. Remembered for her glorious image and tumultuous personal life, Lana Turner will forever have a spot on the list of the most renowned actresses from the Golden Age. As a Hollywood icon, her life mirrored the glamour and allure of her roles in film. She had the looks and aura that made for a movie star. As such, she captivated audiences in the 1940s and the 1950s. Now, considering she made this list, then you know her story extends beyond glamorous poses and cinematic lights. Her tumultuous relationships and sensational headlines were said to shake even the most seasoned gossip columnists. The thing is, you can't really talk about her off-screen persona without mention of her high-profile relationships and marriages. Turner was married 8 times to 7 different men, including bandleader Artie Shaw, actor Lex Barker, and restaurateur Steve Crane, whom she married twice. Notably, she also had several well-publicized affairs with prominent figures in Hollywood and beyond. Notably, as short-lived, and volatile as her relationships often were, they were said to be marked by an insatiable desire for physical intimacy that shadowed her career. Her relationships often made headlines. One particular scandal was the one involving the death of her lover, Johnny Stompanato. What was so sensational about it is that he was a man with alleged ties to the mafia, and it was her daughter, Cheryl Crane, who killed him. This was an act that Turner and her daughter claimed was done in self-defense. Many now think that it was all a constant search for stability. We mean, it is likely that Turner's numerous marriages and relationships are more of a reflection of a search for stability and emotional fulfillment rather than an addiction to sex. Then, of course, the pressures of Hollywood, along with her own personal struggles. It could very well have influenced her relationship choices. Another factor would be the societal norms at the time. Everything, particularly regarding female sexuality, was more conservative, and women with multiple relationships were often judged harshly. Turner's behavior may have been more about navigating the complexities of her personal and professional life in a highly publicized and judgmental environment. One of her co-stars, Frank Sinatra, reportedly commented on her obsessive fixation on sex. Additional rumors like multiple abortions, allegedly concealed by her business manager, Benton Cole, have persisted over the years.
Apology for my conduct of last night.
Oh, but Red.
I was very drunk and quite swept off my feet by your charms.
Number 5, Clark Gable. Famously known as the King of Hollywood, Clark Gable starred in iconic films such as It Happened One Night in 1934 and Gone with the Wind in 1939. The public persona of a rugged, heterosexual leading man helped him achieve that Hollywood heartthrob status. The fact that his career spans several decades made him one of the most beloved and successful actors in Hollywood history. His roles often portrayed him as a tough, masculine figure, and he was even considered a sex symbol of his time. But there is more to this story. You see, no matter the number of women he publicly dallied with, rumors and speculation about his sexuality still persisted over the years. His on-screen romances with leading ladies like Vivien Leigh and Jean Harlow contributed to his image as a heterosexual icon. He also had a couple of high-profile marriages thrown in the mix. As his career flourished, it became more difficult to hide his homosexual nature. The thought of any deviation from the norm was career-threatening enough. Many speculate that his resolve to hide this side of himself led him down a sex-crazed path. To begin with, Gable's early years in Hollywood were marked by struggles and attempts to break into the industry. There have been claims that Gable had relationships with men during this period, including rumors about his involvement with actor William Haynes and director George Cukor. Then came his first marriage to Josephine Dillon. For one, she was significantly older than him, and the marriage helped launch his career. Some biographers suggest that their relationship was more professional than romantic, further fueling speculation about his sexuality. He was married 5 times in total and had countless affairs with nearly all his co-stars. Remember, we said his womanizing began early in his career? According to reports, he started acting in Portland, Oregon. There, he had an affair with a theater manager who was 17 years older than him. This set a pattern for him, as he found many older women who were willing to support him financially. He used the generosity of his female admirers to secure a contract with MGM, thereby gaining superstardom. As you can imagine, his growing fame only increased his appetite for romance. He had a very public affair with Joan Crawford. The affair was reportedly so scandalous that MGM threatened to use the morality clause in their contracts if they failed to act appropriately. Gable also had an affair with former child star Loretta Young, which resulted in a pregnancy. This affair caused significant trouble for MGM, especially since Young was not his wife, and Gable was in fact married to his second wife at the time. Despite his reputation for infidelity, women were still drawn to him. Doris Day, one of his co-stars, described Gable as incredibly masculine yet boyish. Together, these made for an irresistible combination.
Oh. I thought you were someone else.
Number 4, Diana Dors. Diana Dors wasn't the average British actress. She was the ultimate sex symbol who often found herself at the center of rumors and controversies. These claims, including allegations of being a sex addict, were part of the larger sensationalism that followed her career and personal life. Dors started her career in the late 1940s. By the 50s and 60s, she had taken Hollywood by storm. Unsurprisingly, her looks and charm quickly earned her the moniker as the British Marilyn Monroe. She took on roles that often capitalized on her glamorous and voluptuous image. As such, she got herself typecast and designated for sex symbol roles. But as you can see, her on-screen persona may not have required much acting on her part. In her autobiographies, Dors described a life filled with numerous sexual encounters, swinging parties, and a hedonistic lifestyle. But behind the dazzling smile and glamorous facade, Dors battled a complex personal life filled with tumultuous relationships behind the scenes. Dors had 3 marriages, the most notable being to actor Richard Dawson and businessman Alan Lake. In truth, she was open about her affairs and sexual exploits in her autobiographies, which fed into the public's fascination and the rumors of her being a sex addict. While her career flourished, her relationships were often tumultuous. Could this intense focus on seeking pleasure and validation through intimacy be a result of all that relationship trauma? True or not, that is what a lot of people choose to believe. Of course, we can't forget about the notoriously hedonistic parties she held at Berkshire Mansion. These parties were always packed with celebrities, and if the rumors are to be believed, then these parties were as wild as they come. There were drugs, alcohol, and everything needed for a risque night. Pornographic films were also said to be playing softly in the background. To be fair, society had a more conservative view of sexuality at the time, so when starlets like Dors were so open about sex, it seemed much more controversial and set the tone for the label of sex addict. If you've made it this far, do hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from us. Number 3, Charlie Chaplin. Famous for his slapstick comedy and ingenious character, Chaplin made nearly 90 films to solidify him as a firmly established film icon. The Little Tramp, The Man with the Toothbrush Mustache, Bowler Hat, Bamboo Cane, and Funny Walk. All these were recognizable trademarks that set him apart as an icon of the silent film era. Charles Spencer Chaplin was born in Walworth, London, England on April 16, 1889. His parents were Hannah Harriet Pedlingham Hill and Charles Chaplin, both of whom were music hall performers. Chaplin began his official acting career at the age of 8, touring with the 8 Lancashire Lads. At the age of 18, he began touring with Fred Carnell's vaudeville troupe. He also joined them on the troupe's 1910 United States tour. He traveled west to California in December 1913 and signed on with Keystone Studios' popular comedy director Max Sennett, who had seen Chaplin perform on stage in New York. Chaplin's personal life, particularly his relationships with women, have been the subject of much scrutiny and speculation. But by this time, you will understand why he has often been considered as the one to make this list. Let's begin with his relationships and marriages. Throughout his life, Chaplin is estimated to have been involved with around 2,000 women. Out of that, he got married to 4 of his conquests. His very first bride was a young starlet called Mildred Harris, and she was only 16 years old. Looking back at it, wouldn't you say that it is highly questionable how she was able to make her way into one of his most infamous parties? You see, Chaplin had a pattern of relationships with significantly younger women, which was controversial and raised questions about his behavior. His second wife, Leda Gray, was only 16 when they met. During his divorce from Leda Gray, she alleged that there was infidelity and sexual exploitation in the marriage, but it gets even more sinister than that. He met Lily back when she was 12 years old. She had a minor role in his 1924 film, The Gold Rush. Even though she was so young, Chaplin admired her and even commissioned a portrait of her at some point. Thankfully, he held off on pursuing her until she was, let's just say, a more appropriate age of 16. Despite having 2 children together, their marriage ended in 1927. This came amidst countless extramarital affairs. These accusations only fueled the circulating rumors and no doubt contributed to his controversial reputation. Wondering what this reputation was? There were claims that Chaplin used his position to engage in sexual relations with women auditioning for his films. That said, this earned him the reputation as one of the first people to develop the casting couch technique. Aside harboring perverted sexual desires, there is also rumors that Chaplin hosted sex parties and organized elite orgies. This behavior, if true, suggests a potential abuse of power for sexual gain, while also indicating a pattern of seeking romantic and sexual conquests. All of these allegations paint a picture of a man who is quite different from the innocent and lovable comic character that we all know. Biographers and historians offer varying interpretations of Chaplin's behavior. While many suggest he was simply a man with a strong sexual appetite, others hint at an addiction with deeper psychological issues. Whatever the case may be, Chaplin's personal life was marred by allegations of mistreatment and exploitation of women. Number 2. The Secrets of Clara Bow. Before retiring at the age of 28, Clara Gordon Bow was an American actress who rose to fame in the silent film era of Hollywood. Bow was born on July 29, 1905 in Brooklyn, New York. It might surprise you, but she was raised in poverty and violence. Her father was not only absent, but also was violent whenever he was around. It is unclear, but it is said that he could not or simply did not want to provide for the family. But Bow was optimistic about her future. Deep down, she believed she could make it on the screen. Would you believe her schizophrenic mother tried to slit her throat when the girl spoke of becoming an actress? Despite the lack of support, Bow chased her dreams. She won a photo beauty contest that launched her movie career. This career would eventually number 58 films from 1922 to 1933. While she did not spend a lot of time in the spotlight, there was a valid reason why. As you can see, she had a career filled with scandals. Fondly known as the Hollywood It Girl, Clara Bow might not have had it easy. For one, she was a star of the silent film era. For those who do not know, the early 1920s was a time when the climate was pretty much conservative. But of course, Bow wasn't the It Girl for nothing. Clara Bow was continuously engulfed in the most scandalous of rumors. She was a constant fixture on tabloids with the most salacious headlines and speculations about her. The rumors began when Bow had a falling out with her secretary, Daisy DeVoe. When DeVoe resigned, she apparently departed with numerous files containing Bow's personal information. As the story goes, she had been so involved with Bow's affairs that she possessed secrets capable of tarnishing Bow's reputation. When DeVoe reportedly resorted to blackmail, Bow was forced to take legal action against her former secretary. However, the courtroom battle backfired spectacularly, and all the secrets she had been fighting hard to bury were eventually exposed. These secrets fueled so many sensational headlines in the tabloids. Speculation swirled that Bow engaged in promiscuous behavior. She is said to have partied in orgies with an entire football team, engaged in affairs with married men, and even purportedly engaged in bestiality. DeVoe also accused Bow of constant drunkenness and numerous affairs that further tarnished her reputation. The truth is, these were all very nasty acts for the time. While these rumors remain unsubstantiated, they sure made it a hot topic. To be fair, many of the scandals that surrounded her might have been related to her romantic life and old-fashioned views on love. Bow believed in romanticism and often expected too much of the men in her life. Unfortunately, this led to a series of quick relationships, some of whom were well-known figures in Hollywood. From actor Gary Cooper to director Victor Fleming, the list went on and on.
Yeah, I know that song.
Oh, you do, huh?
Sure.
Tonight we love while the moon beams down in dreamland.
Number 1. Frank Sinatra. Yes, taking the top spot on this list is the Golden Age heartthrob known who was nicknamed Old Blue Eyes. Frank Sinatra is regarded as one of the most popular all-around entertainers of the mid-20th century. He was a best-selling music artist and a decorated actor as well. Born to Italian immigrants in Hoboken, New Jersey, Sinatra began his musical career in the swing era. Heavily influenced by the easy listening vocal style of Bing Crosby, he found success as a solo artist when he signed with Columbia Records in 1943. After gaining some momentum in the music industry, Sinatra set out to forge a highly successful career as a film actor. With a flourishing film career, Sinatra was in the right position to bed a succession of silver screen divas. From Lana Turner to Judy Garland, Sinatra certainly took advantage of his position. And the women loved him. Perhaps it was the big blue eyes. According to actress and close friend Ruta Lee, those famous blue eyes of Sinatra were so piercing. When he was with you, those blue eyes stayed with you. You felt like he was entering your soul. It was something incredible. However, other sources claim he was, let's just say, well endowed. Whatever it was, the women did love him. The thing is, Frank Sinatra reportedly suffered from a lack of impulse control. The book, Sinatra and Me, in the Wee Small Hours, explains that Sinatra's problems began at birth in 1915. He weighed 13.5 pounds at birth and as such had to be pulled out with forceps. During the process, part of his earlobe and the skin covering the left ankle of his skull were ripped off. The combination of oxygen deprivation and brain trauma has been said to profoundly affect things like impulse control and emotional stability. So Sinatra spent his life dealing with surging emotions and the impulses to strike out. As an adult, this lack of self-control led to 4 marriages and countless flings. By countless, we mean running into the hundreds. One story that also made the rounds in the media is that Frank Sinatra was into threesomes. He was a notorious womanizer who loved to bed famous stars in Hollywood. Surprisingly, Sinatra never had sex with his dream woman, Marilyn Monroe. Among the famous women Sinatra was close to was Marilyn Monroe, whom he idolized. Sinatra thought she was beautiful, funny, charismatic, and radiated sexuality, but he also saw her as a fragile, troubled child, always looking for a man to take care of her and make her feel safe. Reports suggest that she was more than willing, but Sinatra surprisingly held back at every point. He felt too many men had already taken advantage of her and for some reason did not want to join in. Frank felt she was too troubled, too fragile for him to sleep with, and then walked away. He just couldn't get rid of the feeling that sex with her would be taking advantage of a woman who'd already been abused by so many men. Instead, Sinatra became Monroe's confidant right up until the end of her life, including her dealings with the Kennedys. This was just one instance, though. His sexual morals were reportedly very loose. While fans would throw themselves at Sinatra, he also loved having sex with 2 women at the same time, and if he was feeling fatigued, he'd say to the girls, "You start and I'll catch up with you later." Which story shocked you the most? Do share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. You also can't miss the next video on your screen.